Hello and welcome to another edition of Cheers PA Beer Talk. I am your host, Mike Lintell. You know how we do it every time that we're here. We're talking to some of the best and brightest in Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, today we missed the mark because we have Sam from Bonn Place. If you know Sam, you love him. He's tremendous. He is, the best we could do today, which is really good because every day, if you could just be nice, you can have nice things and, drink nice beer. And that's what Sam's all about. So we're really grateful for him and his time here today. And coming to us live from the outside of Bonn Place in beautiful Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, on the south side. Love it. Stunning. A lot of history in that photo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this wasn't always Taylor Street. Evidently, it was once Locust Street.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. This is probably the most educational this program has ever been. So thank you for helping raise the bar for us.
I still, do you have a milk carton with my face on it?
No, I was freewheeling, man. I wasn't sure if you were going to make it. I wish we could just publish the email chain because it was some of the best stuff that I've been a part of recently.
I could read it to everybody. I have no, I was actually, I don't know. I just don't commit to things anymore because I always forget about them and then I mess up, which, that's all the time. And I just don't remember how to do things like I used to.
Well, it's my belief that if you were going to be here, you were supposed to be here. And if you weren't going to be here, then it's all good and we would have had fun either way. But I think we're going to have more fun with you in person than, me trying to do your voice. As you are a master of many, many voices.
I used to, but I've sort of lost my voice,
Parking authority rolling up.
I feel like maybe I've used it too much. I've overextended my vocal cords or something. This is an interesting angle because you're just getting like up my nose. Weiss is a grocery store, yeah? Yeah. Whoa. Do you work at Weiss?
I do not. I'm actually, I used to work at Big Hill Cider in Gardner's.
Oh, get out with, Big Hill, that's Ben, no?
Yes.
Oh.
So I was in Bethlehem for a weekend. My wife was doing yoga. I decided, hey, I'll ride a bike around Bethlehem and tour the brewery.
I remember you.
Yeah, not many breweries that you can get to by bike. Also, a lot more hills than I had anticipated when signing up for that. So
they call it the San Francisco of the Lehigh Valley.
I see why. I thought it was because of the tech incubation, but I guess it was the hills.
Actually, that is a real thing, which we can get to at some point. We're part of an initiative called the Keystone Innovation Zone.
Really? Go on.
So there's a program available to us in Pennsylvania when you're within a certain boundary or zone, such as the Keystone Innovation Zone. There's also one called the CRIZ where wealthy landowners like to take advantage of their tenants. We're not part of that one. We're part of the Keystone Innovation Zone. And if you can sort of prove in any way that you're innovative, which we've somehow been able to do, you're eligible for tax credits, which have helped us exponentially through the years. And Bethlehem City Hall is really the tale of two cities, as the city of Bethlehem sort of is. And economic development in the city is actually wonderful. Much more wonderful than like zoning or engineering or any of those bureaucratic functions. There's many more good old boys in those functions, it seems, or just people who want to get a paycheck and not do anything else. But economic development's wonderful, and we're within the Keystone Innovation Zone, so we're eligible for tax credits every year.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would argue that what you're doing out of that space is the epitome of innovation, because you found a way to make very high-end beers that appeal to connoisseurs while maintaining a very friendly community, warm environment around your taps. Was that always the goal from the beginning?
Yeah, it absolutely was. I mean, so if you look at the side of our building here, okay, so I don't know how to, this is like flying a plane, like up is down, right? So where's the...
there you go.
Love, yeah. Community. So, despite my seeming lack of, I guess it's not negligence so much. It's actually more, I've just realized how I am, and I'm at a place in my life where I can, like I said, I've used my voice too much, but definitely the goal of Bonn Place the aim was to do exactly what you've said. So that's good. That means it's happened, at least for one person. and that was to make quality, true to style beers, and maybe some extreme beers on occasion, but more true to style beers that would appeal to the masses, but especially brewers and people who really enjoy beer and flavored beer for what it is. The industry is so interesting these days, or it always has been. But with the emergence of so many homebrewers going quasi-pro to professional, and so many industry adjacent people becoming more involved in manufacturing and production, the industry has taken such an interesting turn where there's probably I would say maybe a majority of breweries are still doing what we do, or are doing what we do. Wow, that guy loves America. But you gotta see this. He's got both. He's got them. So, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, we really, we sort of from early on wanted to promote good community through the brewery and utilize the tap room as a community space, and rally around and celebrate around beer. Beer is really just it's not even the catalyst, it's just the lubricant, for the gears.
Yeah, and maybe you're saying that you used your voice up, but I think you're finding in your, would you call it, your advanced age, that you are finding a way to use that voice more impactfully. So you're saying less but doing more?
Yeah. When maybe what you were hinting at before with a Man of Many Voices, we really enjoyed making videos and using multimedia, which you would imagine somebody who went to film school would know more about using this sort of stuff. But I graduated college in 2003 or 4. Back those days, a little bit different.
The technology change, and from like 2005 to now, it's not even fair. It's like, if you look at probably what your curriculum was like then, and just like how much would you say would just still be relevant in terms of? Well,
so like, I guess like, yeah, but that's an interesting question, right? So I think we could go across the board with that, even in what we do here at Bonn Place, because we're using ancient methods and techniques with modern technology to a point. I mean, electricity alone, although fire, we're using gas plumbing to create, not create fire, but to direct fire. And, so in that way, I think, what I learned in film school, or maybe more on film sets, a lot of it's still relevant because making a cut and an edit is just as relevant as it was back then. But where you're absolutely right. I mean, I learned how to cut film, and that was barely even. I mean, in fact, that was like more of like a Back to the Future 2, that's like a kid's toy. I mean, even though it's more involved, but it was more of just like a nostalgic thing that our one film professor was like, hey, you should know how to do this, but we barely even scraped that one. I did learn how to do like deck to deck video cassette.
Yeah, that's where I started. And like, I think about that in editing and just like how tedious it was. And like, you miss the punch, or like if you get too close and then you punch a hole in the tape and then it's like all screwed. And now like the things that you can do. And I mean, my dad sent my kids a video of my dog talking to them the other day. Wow. Like,
your dad's awesome.
You couldn't do that on a VHS.
Yeah, no, that was the thing, right? But I mean, think about George Lucas with Star Wars, or that editing team and things like this. I mean, they were able to achieve some incredible things with even film, in Vaseline and scaled models. So at the root of it, I think so. Yeah, I guess 50%, right? Because I guess 50% of it will always be relevant.
Yeah, like that's the core of it. Those skills are timeless. But you consider the way that the technology shifted. And right in and around that time, when you're literally going to cards and then you're getting more and more storage and it takes are less and less important. I don't know. Do you feel like it watered the work down a little bit, or was it always the same approach and the same work?
Again, oh, sorry.
Sorry, you just didn't feel that pressure.
Yeah, right. Because I think it's industry appropriate for what I do now. Even have all these breweries making the types of beers that they make or we make, or, are we watering down the industry or are we thinning it out? There's definitely an integrity, and it feels like maybe there's some sort of compromise there. But at the same time, I mean, that's what's going to happen when, anybody can make a feature film now. It doesn't take much. It takes, of course, time and effort and energy, but even if somebody just pointed a video camera at themselves for an hour and a half and called it a feature film, it's still a feature length film. I don't know what exactly designates that term. Is it because of, I think it's length determined, right? So you could even say it was a feature length documentary about a day in a person's life or something. Mm-hmm. And that's available to anybody. Brewing technology is available to anybody in a lot of ways. You don't need any sort of like OSHA certifications. You just need a license, and that's not the easiest thing in the world to acquire, but it's still not the most difficult thing. I mean, getting a driver's license maybe is a bit easier, but even that, I mean, that's sort of where that went. At some point, not everybody could just drive an automobile.
Well, yeah, and then at a certain point, maybe you shouldn't be driving an automobile. I look at the other end of the spectrum, but it sounds like when you were talking about those videos, that it was a way early on for you to express kind of how Bonn Place is different. It seemed like the stories that you were telling, it was part introduction to who you and your team were, but also it was a creative outlet for you, and I'm assuming your wife had a lot to do with them as well. You're both actors and came to this business together, opened Bonn Place together. Everything you two seem to do is together, right? Yeah, for years. So we've actually been together since we went to college together. That's amazing. And she was a drama minor, history major, and I created the school we went to didn't have a film program per se. There were film teachers and there was communications classes, which I was able to sort of custom tailor my own major, which was it was really documentary filmmaking, or maybe it was documentary and narrative storytelling through video. I forget what it was exactly called. I mean, of course, there was no film involved. So we met then, and we lived together in New York. I'm from New York. She's from the Philadelphia area. So we moved to New York City together and pursued careers in acting. And we actually toured the country for 8 years in an off-Broadway show where we got married hundreds of times in 25 different states. We had gotten married right around the beginning of that. So it was 2009, and we started that show in 2008, or started touring with that show in 2008. And we opened Bonn Place together, and we opened July 31st, 2016, and I believe it was September 27th, 2016, she was telling me that she was pregnant. So we very quickly didn't do everything together anymore, because I can't hold somebody else's baby in my body, nor anybody's baby, not alive at least, and any sort of maintenance of homeostasis for that baby. And she no longer could bartend or work at Bonn Place after 7 months of that, because, she was holding and creating a baby inside of her. So, that little parasite put a stop to it real quick. I have to say, the video I think I saw last year of you announcing that you were going to go, and that was your daughter there,
son,
right?
My son, yeah.
Son, and tremendous use of just humility and humanity and just kind of being open and honest. Is that indicative of kind of how you have your relationship with your son, or is it because it just seemed very natural and kind of outside of the scripted, tailored stuff that you have done? It seems a little more over the top. This was just Sam and my son talking about a time in our existence that needed a little bit of empathy and honesty. And it was wonderful. And it was,
very. Dude, you're very astute, and you're getting what we're saying. But I think a lot of people, it's so interesting to me. We're no matter what generation in their later X or these Zennial or Millennials, always like, well, they don't know anything or they don't pay attention. But I feel like there's just this innate ability in younger people, these younger generations, to maybe because they grew up with so much technology, or because they didn't have to say so much. They just kind of get things. And it was so remarkable to me how many people understood exactly what we were saying. My son and I could have said nothing in that video, and I feel like people still would have gotten what we were trying to do or what we were saying. Not what we were trying to do, what we were doing. That was a very honest conversation with Davi and I, but Davi and I have a very honest, if he calls me a name, I say takes one to know one, and he's very aware of what that means. We let him sort out a lot of things on his own, and I'm by no means saying that we do parenting right, or I don't even know that it's unconventional in any way. It's just sort of the way that he's growing up very Bonn place. And you'll notice that was the first video that he was ever even like that you could see any of his face. Mm-hmm. We don't use him in social media efforts, despite his gorgeous blonde locks and beautiful blue eyes and sassy attitude. We don't capitalize on, I don't know, there's just something innocent about the way people. I read this really great thing the other day. My friend put up this thing on Instagram, which was funny. It was on Instagram, but it was like, we used to memorize phone numbers, addresses, directions, and nobody could find us. We were gods. And I was like, whoa, we kind of were. Like, I was like Apollo or something. Or Bacchus. I don't think it's fair to Davi to like just expose him. I mean, he's already exposed, right? Because he's in the tap room. He's growing up here. He sees everybody. He sees everything. So the people who come in here with any regularity or who know us know how like sort of special that was to utilize him in that way. But we really need to get the point across that, look, we just felt like it was the right thing to do. And interestingly enough, the governor decided the same, or the government decided the same day that it was the right thing to do. And so we were already ahead of that. We were really in line with all of the restrictions in that way. And that video was sort of like one of the last ones we did. During the shutdowns, we put out a couple of videos that, Bonn Place had to really check themselves quite a few times. So we had a few mishaps. And I think a big part of that was just not understanding like either the severity of something or maybe, I'm going to keep going back to the age thing, right? Because it's so much more than just like the year you were born and maturity level. But like I grew up with rotary phones and record players, right? Like I grew up with a lot of stuff that maybe like our parents' generation did. But I also got an email address freshman year of college, and Facebook was invented maybe the year after I graduated or whatever year it was, or I shouldn't say invented, but popularized. So that video, again, it was like, I love how much you've gathered and understood about Bonn Place just in your visits, whether through social media virtually or in actuality. And it is sort of interesting that people are able to see so much just by like reading one word or seeing one photo or, a series of images in a video. And that was the point of that one was, hey, like this is vulnerable. This is a vulnerable situation. And I didn't have to prompt him. I was just like, Davi, you like wearing a mask? He's like, it's okay. Like, is it hard? Not really. Like, I just put a mask on my face. It's like, well, okay, that's what I thought. But that was a very like tender moment in our lives. I often compare this place to a sitcom, and it's beyond the videos. It's beyond. I tried to like recreate the sitcom reality of this place in like as if I were some sort of like blend of Michael Scott and the Frank from Always Sunny in Philadelphia and maybe like Bob Saget from Danny Tanner or something, right? Like I'm this father, or maybe Arrested Development where I kind of disappeared for a little while, and then Josh, our head brewer, he like kind of became surrogate dad, and I don't know, we had like this beautiful family here that they're all characters and they all play characters, and like it's amazing to me. Like I just put a camera in front of people, and it started with the cell phone, and then it went to it escalated very quickly. We actually had somebody on staff, and that's a big reason why we don't do those videos to that level anymore, is because we don't have that person on staff anymore to put out 2 videos a week and shoot and edit as we did. But what was always really incredible to me was how talented everybody who works here is, and like natural. It's like, hey, Allie, you're gonna like squish everybody's face and she was like, okay, cool, and she would do it, and it's like, okay, so you could be on TV, like, so we had a lot of fun with it. Well, and it was an expression.
So I think to me, just being an outsider here, you either are the greatest HR manager and you have incredible eye for talent, or you got extremely lucky, because it seems like the people that work with you, and I say with you on purpose, because it seems like you're a tight-knit family, that you all care about one another. And it's been the same people arguably since the beginning. Mm-hmm. And show me another place that's making beer anywhere that has that kind of, turnover per capita, or lack of there. It's tremendous. And I have to say, it must be a testament to just the ownership and the way that you all let the team do their things and have just created this wonderful environment for talented people to be talented.
Are you from the future? So I always refer to my coworkers as my coworkers, and I hate the word customer. Like, mm-hmm. I don't know, this isn't a customs agency. Like, they're our guests. They're in our house, and it's very important to make sure people know that, and so that they do feel it. And they're one of our biggest criticisms, I think, and it's actually a compliment in a lot of ways. It's a criticism, whatever, a compliment or not. Is that people come in sometimes and they don't feel like they're part of the club. And it's not that we don't want people to feel like they're part of the club, but you never realize if some of the people that are already here were not part of the club when they first walked in, but they were made to feel like they were part of the club, and all of a sudden they just seem like they are. And there is no club, of course. I mean, we're open to the public. The only thing we ask is just don't be a dick or a jerk, or just respect, love thy neighbor as much as you can, or just respect one another, especially just respect each other's space. And I know I push that boundary because I'm just a New York Italian who can't keep his mouth shut and has lost his voice as a result. But it is really incredible to me. Even the people who have left either still come back as guests, and or came back to work again. I think it's a lot to do with the opportunities that we afford each other, and how well we do take care of each other. The joke is that this is the land of plenty, but it's not really a joke. It's like sort of as if like a UFO had landed in Bethlehem, and walls were built around it, and that energy and that spirit. Like, we have wacky stuff going on here. Like, I was asking you before about the psychedelics, like half as a joke, but a few of us are into using vital instruments to experience altered states of life, and natural forms, for me at least. But the vibes in here are very much like almost that on its own. We do have, in my opinion, we have spirits that live here, whether they're personal gremlins within me or if they're actual like poltergeist or ghosts. They're very playful, whoever they are, whatever they are. And they cause a lot of ruckus, but at the same time, they really take care of the place. So whether that's just like a theory of spirits, or if that's actual spirits, or I don't know, a life of eye-opening experiences, a lot of travel, I've been to a lot of sort of mysterious places, from like Morocco to parts of Eastern Europe that maybe are, I see a lot of it here, and you can sort of be anywhere in these four walls is the biggest point of it. And I really like that.
Yeah, I think that there's just like, I've only been there once, but there just was this deep calm and comfort about being there as soon as you walk in. What you were saying earlier about the people that don't get it, it just sounds like if you come in and you show respect in the house, then the house is going to respect you. If you come in and you act like it's your house, the house will have nothing to do with you. And I think it's just, the rule of showing respect. And I just think that it's something that the smallest thing of understanding, hey, it's a small place. Maybe we don't show up with 30 people on a bus, And so it's just one of those things that, but I just don't think people have that forethought on the whole to see that maybe they're in the wrong in these situations. And so it's not going to be for everyone, but just the energy and the vibe, it feels very old worldly. And I almost called it European. In terms of just the feel in there, but it's not, because there's still the equal part of that gritty South Side, steel stacks, Bethlehem. Like, you embody the strength of that place, but you also bring something new and exciting and a touch of wonderment that I think is why all around you in that neighborhood, you're seeing more development. I mean, can you talk about what your street and what that area looked like when you first opened versus where you're at now?
Sure. April 20th, 2015, my wife and April 20th. We signed a lease on this building, and this sidewalk was, did not look like this sidewalk. Well, it kind of looked like this sidewalk, but it was littered with needles, and there was a lot of activity here. I used to live in this building. So I slept here for the better part of 4 or 5 months before we were able to get an apartment very close by. And it was important for me to really understand living here. I've lived in, let's say I've lived in worse. I don't know how to, and I've also lived in more lively. I lived in Hell's Kitchen in the early 2000s, which was not nearly Hell's Kitchen in the 80s, but I'm originally from the Bronx and lived there till I was 6 and saw a lot of stuff even in those 5.5 years. Whether it was shootings or robberies or stuff like that, I remember it well. And then I also worked at Newburgh Brewing Company in Newburgh, New York, which is, not the most desirable area. But that is to say, it was where we were and where we worked and where we lived and where we played even. And, Southside it was just misunderstood. I think in a lot of ways, we were really Southside or bust. You're really, I can't say enough about how incredible you are at, observation. Cause a lot of these stories are stories I tell, with with intent and good reason. And we did buy a building about a mile from here that people often question me, like, you're going to open a brewery in that neighborhood? It's like, well, that's my neighborhood. And honestly, it's better than this was, 5-6 years ago. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of grit here. There's a lot of blue collar work ethic. There's a lot of steel. I mean, so much of it is indicative of the area, but also of what's going on now. And, it's tough because gentrification is a thing, and you don't want to lose the integrity, and I don't know that this area ever will lose its integrity. I don't think that's possible. I mean, you got those ancient sort of not even monoliths, because there's a series of them, but those stacks over there that really embody. I often, when people come to visit that have never been to Bethlehem before, I do take them to the north side just to see like the Moravian settlement and just like the history of that. But if you want to see what built America and what made America great in the first place, something like the steel stacks is really important. We sort of built the world. And by we, I mean I wasn't a part of it, but Bethlehem. From the Empire State Building to the Golden Gate Bridge to, whether it was ships during World War II, Bethlehem Steel threw out their 5 plants in the country. I think it was 5 plants. From Baltimore to Indiana to here. It's really an incredible place, and I don't know that. I'm not from Pennsylvania, and I do love Pennsylvania now, but I just consider myself from Bethlehem now, especially my son, because he actually is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
sorry. Yeah, just to cut. Sorry to cut you off, but
no.
I like to say this. I don't own Bonn Place. We rent the building. I own the brewery, but I don't own the building. We live here. We work here. We rent here. We do own property here. Our other building that's going to eventually be another location, and we shop here. We play here. Like, I don't know. Like, we kind of wanted to put our money where our mouth was and make sure that we didn't just come into a neighborhood like, oh, it's cheap and we can gentrify this place. It was more like, no, if we're going to be here, we're going to be here fully. Like, this is our spot.
And I think that's beautiful that you had the intent of buying into a neighborhood for what it is and not trying to buy a neighborhood and make it what you want. So
right. Yeah.
To take that one step further, that's essentially what your beer is. That you're making beer that you want because you want good beer to be in the world.
Right. Well, and it's rare that I make a beer that I wouldn't drink. I shouldn't say that. I don't know that I would make a beer that I wouldn't drink, but we try not to make beers here that we don't at least want to drink, So that's the current list right there.
Beautiful.
For everybody who's never been to Bonn Place, I know you got to sort of catch a glimpse of this before, but everything that we're making currently is within these 4 walls, and these are the 2 people responsible for all of that. So Ryan and Josh here, who've been on the team, like you said, since since the beginning, since their beginnings here at least, whether that was a year in or 4 months in, have been brewing, whether alongside me or without me, as you're sort of witnessing right now, because if I'm not in there, I can't be. I'm not that much of a magician. In fact, I'm not a magician at all. But yeah, that's what we do. Something like, and we're finding it's so awesome to me that people want to drink these beers too, and we've tried to it's like, well, if this is a trend, maybe we should because we're a pub, we could do whatever we want, I don't know. Like, why,
No,
it ain't broke, don't break it. Feel me? It's like,
no, man, just keep doing your thing, man. I honestly, as Nicky Bones would say, you are deeper than the Marinara Trench, man. I had no idea that you I wish we had more time to just keep talking, but that we may get close to a feature-length documentary. We don't want to cross in there, and
I wish we did too, because I would really love for everybody to, it's just I don't have to go through. Everybody's going through it, right? So, I had COVID for sure in April of last year, and I probably had COVID the year before, and blah, 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 blah. There's reasons why we think that. Doctors have told me scars on my hands, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, so between acupuncture appointments and my check engine light going on in my car, and we had our family holiday party here 2 nights ago, and Krampus was on Sunday, blah, 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 blah. When you first reached out, I was like, I'm going to say no, because you know what? No, I'm not going to say no. I'm going to say maybe. And your responses were there was and then you sent me one. I was like, I hope this is the same person. And when I was like, this is the Ghostbusters one, right? And you were like, yeah. Then you threw another thing at me. I was like, I like this guy a lot. Yeah. So then I totally forgot about it today. I was trying to cancel our healthcare insurance, blah, 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 and take care of the check engine light, blah, blah, and draw labels and do all these things. And I saw your email, and I was like, oh, shoot, that's in 5 minutes. But like you said, and if we were supposed to be here, we were supposed to be here.
Well, we did it, man. We landed on the moon.
Yeah. Oh, Dumb and Dumber. I love that one.
Dude, it's been a tremendous honor. Like I obviously, as you can tell, I'm a big fan of what you guys are doing, the whole team. Please keep it up. Anytime I find your beer in the wild, it's my go-to, because we need more 3.8% to 4.3%, low hop, high malt character beers. So just keep doing your thing, man. And
hey,
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Mike, I think I'm enamored by you and your. I wish you were working for. I don't know. I hope you're doing good with your talents, which it seems like you are. How do I say it? I'm honored. This was a pleasure. Thank you for making this not only painless but very enjoyable.
Hey, thankfully the beer podcast industry has set the bar so low that just coming in with a little bit of empathy and thought it can vault you pretty high into I don't really care.
But man, you proved me wrong today. Let's just say that.
Whatever the people watching or listening think is not of my concern. I just want to make sure that who I'm talking to realize that I actually care about what they're doing, and I put in the effort so that it's not just, so what's your haziest?
Right. Or well, I guess we should have a part 2. I think that would be really good. Maybe just in person.
Sounds good, Sam. We'll be in touch. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Keep drinking good beer, as Spider-Man says.
And thanks again to our friends at Wise Markets for making all this possible. This was definitely one for the ages. True honor. Sam's been someone I've respected in this industry for a while, and I'm just grateful for his time today. Again, thanks to Wise Markets, and until next time, cheers, PA.